Hello and welcome to Running Programs. In today's episode, we're going to be looking at a story for creating some save functionality within the game. Before we get started on that, I want to do a quick touch up from the last time we did a refactor. There was a small mistake we made, which I want to call out real quick. This selectable menu item was basically, this was basically the old menu item component. We have a new menu item component that's kind of like a stub, and I won't get into too much, but anyways, one thing I noticed is that I reordered it so that it was in the same position as it was previously. So like, I'll stage it now and you'll see. So that the diff is like a little bit more accurate. I just wanted to keep the component at the same level. But one thing I realized is we actually forgot to style the selected option. And so what this means is the menu item selection would work, but no cursor would be displayed. So I wanted to take a minute to actually just fix that up. We can run our tests, make sure they're still passing. And now the diff remains true to what it was before. We've just renamed this component, and the menu item is now something new, as we see. Cool. So let's go ahead and commit this. So this was and let me just double check I don't have any weird comments floating around. No. Okay, good. So this was a refactor of the I guess just the menu. Cool. So let's close some of these files and let's jump into today's story. So when the overworld menu is open, I can select the save menu item to save the game. Once I've saved the game, I can reload the page. The main menu now has a new option, continue, which is only visible if there's a saved game present. Okay, so a little bit of complexity here, but we can tackle this step by step. So maybe the first thing we should do is create the continue option. And so what I want to do is I want to actually come into the game file. I think this is the right place for the test. So I'm going to create a test file for game. And that test is going to, the first test we're going to write is shows the continue option when a saved game is, let's say, when there is, when saved data exists. I like that. And we'll say main menu shows the continue option when saved data exists. Cool. So what does that look like? Well, we're going to render, not React DOM render, React testing library. We're going to render the game. And we got to do some keyboard inputs. So the first one would be A key to get to the main menu. Actually, that's the only input we need here. And then what do we expect? Well, we expect there to be an option on the screen, which we have to, of course, import screen. There's going to be an option. What is that option? It's going to be called continue. And we expect that to be in the document. So the test is failing because we only have a new game option. So let's go ahead and add the continue option. So that's going to be in the main menu component. And we can use our new lovely menu API to create, actually we're going to do it above because continue is the first option if it exists, called continue. Interesting. So when we added a new menu item, this test fails. Why would that be? Found role option. Why might that be? Let's open up this test. So we initialize a new game sequence. Ah, yes, because new game. So this is right. This is part of it. So we made continue the first menu item. And this test assumes that new game is the first menu item. So let's go ahead and how do we want to handle this? We could like put continue second for now. We're gonna eventually hide continue. If there's no save game data, just thinking about how we want to do this. Because our game test passes, but now this test fails. So maybe we can, just, in order to get the original app test to pass, we can maybe just start on the second part, which is it's only visible if there's a saved game present. So I want to create a hook, and that hook's just going to let me know if I have saved data present. And if there's saved data, I'm going to render the continue button. So I don't actually have a save data hook. I don't have any hooks in this app, so why don't we go ahead and create a hooks directory and create a use save data hook. And for now, we're just going to return has saved data. Oops. And we can say has saved data equals false, something like that. So now our app test should pass, but our game test should fail. Is that right? Oh, that's interesting. So because it's rendering null, we see this warning pop up. So maybe we should go ahead and fix up that warning so that if there's no child, we just return. So if there's no child, we'll just return null. Something like that. And then we won't warn. I think this is fine. Let's do that for now. Okay, cool. So now our our game test is failing. So how do we now sort of simulate that save data exists? Well, since we're working in the browser, I think the best place to put save data would be somewhere like local storage. So I'm going to say that local storage, I'm going to go ahead and set some kind of, save, maybe I could even call it like local storage key dot save data, something like that. Just create an enum. And what am I going to set? I'm just going to set like an empty object or something. And we actually can't set a raw object. We have to set a string. So I'm going to say that before I render game, I'm going to set this local storage data. And I'm going to go ahead and create that key now. So maybe in constants, does that seem like a good place for it? I guess it could be in types. It's not really a type. It is more of, an enum is like more of a constant, I think, because it has a value. And the GUI priorities in here too anyway. So local storage key, save data, something like that. We just want it to be unique. And now in the game, I'm sorry, not in the game, in the, where was it? Where did we say this information was going? Sorry, I'm just a little jumbled. The main menu. So this is interesting. Should the main menu, I don't think the main menu should be responsible for this data. I think the main menu should take, so I'm going back on this a little bit, has saved data. I'm really, now I'm really not sure. Yeah, I think it should take the property has saved data rather than actually calling the hook itself. And instead, game is going to be responsible for that. So game, we'll call the useSaveData hook, and simply pass this to the main menu. Cool. So now there's still the issue of the useSaveData hook doesn't do anything. So what should this do? Well, this should have, you know, something like save data, set save data. It's just going to create like a little state variable. Maybe we could even have an interface, but for now, yeah, let's do it. Let's create, we'll sort of stub this out. So this can be like a save data interface. And maybe to start, yeah, it just doesn't have a value. So maybe we'll create a new types folder. And we have a save data type that we can just leave empty because we'll just say we're not storing any real data right now. Something like that. And then maybe just when this thing runs, we can say set save data to be json.parse. Hang on, let's do this one step at a time. So maybe something like loaded data. We want to take the local storage and try to find the save data present in the local storage. And this should return, yes, so string or null. So we can say something like if loaded data, set save data to be json.parse loaded data. Something like that. And then save data, or rather has saved data, can just check that save data is not undefined. Awesome. Got our test to pass. So that's showing the continue option when save data exists. Now, what if we want to, main menu does not show the continue option when save data does not exist. So I want to render the game again, but this time I'm not setting anything in local storage. And when I hit the A key to get to the main menu, which actually this could just kind of be part of the setup. Usually I do like arrange, act assert. This is all kind of the arrange. I expect continue not to be in the document. Now this is going to fail, and the reason it's going to fail is because the JS DOM local storage is persisting across test runs. We can actually fix that by coming into our setup test file and doing local storage.clear before each test. Cool, so now the test passes. We can actually we don't need this ridiculous comment here. So we'll clean that up. Cool. So let's see. So now we've kind of done this part. And so the last thing that remains is when the overworld menu is open, I can select the save menu item to save the game. So this would actually be saving the game data. The continue button still doesn't do anything, but This is just saying when I hit save, I expect some save data to exist. So where would be the best place to write this test? I have some thoughts about this. Let me just think about it for a second. Let's go back to the acceptance criteria. So we need to have, in our test, we need to have the overworld menu open. And then I can select the save menu item to save the game. So because the game is keeping track of the save data, I think the game test makes the most sense to put it. But I want to do a couple things in the process of writing this test. First of all, I don't want the app test to have to do this whole initialize game sequence thing. I want to just know that the game sequence has started, but I don't actually want it to run through the whole thing, right? I just want it to, for example, oh, interesting. It's kind of a duplicate. Yeah, okay. So let's go ahead and, well, we just realized we don't need that. We'll save that. But more importantly, we just want to check that, there's no menu and that text appears. So we can remove all this because we are going to be putting that code in the game test. And as you can imagine, starting a new game is something we might have to do a couple times when testing the game. And so one thing I think we should do is create a helper function that runs through this entire new game sequence. So something like start new game from start screen, or maybe create new game from start screen, something like that. That's going to actually do all of this stuff. So something like this. So this is a little bit strange, but yeah, create new game from start screen. And then the test here is going to be, goes through the entire new game sequence, something like that. So if this test ever fails, then we know that something has been. Let me see. So we're not rendering anything, right? We need to render the game first. Render game. Something like that. That should do it. Okay, cool. So now we know that if the goes to the entire new game sequence test fails, it's possible that our other tests will fail as well. I'm just thinking, I'm not 100% sure that every test should be running through all these expectations, but just for the sake of reducing, cutting down on a ton of duplication, let's start here, and then we can say we have another test that says saving the game creates save data, something like that. And so this test, it's going to render the game, and it's going to create the new game from start screen. Now that's like the arrange part. The act part is we're going to hit the start key, user event.keyboard, and we're eventually going to clean up some of this logic. So, something like have a helper function that allows us to select an option menu. So this can be something like we're going to hit down a few times. something like this. How many times do we need to hit the down key? Let's take a look at the overworld menu to find out. So it starts on item and we go 1, 2, so only 2 down. We're going to hit the A key to save the game. Now we're actually going to unmount the game. This is kind of simulating like a reload sort of. And then we're going to render the game again. And now we're going to say go to the main menu. No, this would be going to the main menu. And now finally we're going to say I expect the continue button to be in the document. Okay, so this is not a very pretty test, and this is a good indicator that we greatly need some kind of abstraction for details like, you know, save game, like open menu and save game or something like that. But let's go ahead and run this. Of course it'll fail because when it finally gets to the last assertion, it's just going to see new game in the list. Why is that? Well, because we're not actually doing anything when the save function is called from the overworld menu. So let's go into the overworld menu, and we want to pass this event up. So we want to do something like on save, and when the save menu item is selected, we can just call on save. So the game is responsible. The overworld is responsible for handling the overworld menu. Looks like we'll have to pass it up one more level. Again, this is kind of just giving us an indication that perhaps our composition there leaves a little bit to be desired, because right now we're sort of passing a prop to pass a prop. Let's save that. And then finally we go into the game and we need to handle the save. So let's say handle save. What's that going to do? Handle save. That's going to be a function. And what do we want to do? We want to do something like commit save data, something like that. Save data. Yeah, I like that. So commit save data doesn't actually exist. We'll get an error that tells us that. So let's create that function. So here we have our use save data. Then we can do something like, let's put it above this. So commit save data. We can just set it in local storage. So we'll set the save data key to be the value saved. We'll just do it in one line. JSON.stringify. Right now we don't have any save data, but we could. You know what we could do? Thinking about this. No, this is fine. Commit save data for now. Cool. And let's go ahead and save that. Fingers crossed. We have passing test. Indeed we do. Awesome. Okay, so this is going to be kind of cool. So let's go ahead and test this out for real. You know what? I don't know if I started. I didn't start it. Okay, so let's just start it real quick. We can do yarn start. Start our app. It'll pop open for us. So this is going to be cool. This will show us that we're actually saving data. So here I am at the main menu. You notice now I don't see the continue button, right? But now I'm going to go ahead and create a game. I'm at my player. Let me go ahead and reload just to show you now there's still no continue. So I don't have any save data. But if I create a player again and I go to this save and I hit A, it's interesting, it's a bug, so notice the save menu doesn't go away. We're ready to test for that. Now if I reload, boom, I have the continue option. That's pretty cool. So last thing we'll do is write a test to make sure that the that saving the game dismisses the menu. So we can again, so this is not going to be super pretty, but we can say, saving the game dismisses. Is there a better place for this test maybe? So the overworld menu. I think the overworld would be a better place for this test. Oh, you can see we actually have some errors now. So we can do, on save, something like that. We can copy this to our different locations. You can tell that that this test file could use a refactor because there's that duplication we needed, or that we had. So right now that's working, but the test we want to write is closes the overworld menu when the game is saved, something like that. So now I hit start. Oops. And I'm scrolling down to I'm scrolling down to the save button. I save the game, and I expect there to be nothing on. I guess I can leave this assertion in just to tell me that there's something on the screen. But there we go. Closes the overworld menu when the game is saved. That's going to fail because when we save the game, the menu is still visible. Let's jump into the overworld. And now we can have a handle save function that's going to call on save. But what it's also going to do is dismiss overworld menu, which I think we can either create a new function with this or just rename this one. I'm going to go ahead and choose to just rename this function, dismiss overworld menu. And of course we'll pass handle save to the onSave prop. Tests are passing. Let's see that working in the real app. We can't continue, nothing happens. So let's start a new game. We will save, menu goes away. That, ladies and gentlemen, is a feature done. We can go ahead and commit this as save game. Wow, how awesome. I'll just call it save. Feature, save, commit, done. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see y'all in the next episode.